Hello and welcome to the Sideline Live podcast. My name is Orla Keeling and I am the host of the podcast, where every week we bring you a brand new episode with guests ranging from Olympic champions to local heroes, coaches, support staff and anybody involved in the world of sport. Each week we will dive into different topics, including current affairs in sport, identity, skill, mindset, coaching, and also shine a light on those flying under the radar. So tune in for brand new episodes, new stories, and new insights you've never heard before. Okay, delighted to be joined by triple Olympian, Olympic medalist, MBA, corporate speaker, and she also has a plane named after her, but most importantly, a fellow podcast host, Annalise Murphy. Annalise, thanks for joining me.
Thanks so much for having me on, Orla. And unfortunately, I don't have a plane named after me anymore. It got sold to a Bundesliga team, and I'm pretty sure the first thing they did was rip off the Annalise Murphy off the front of it and put their team name on the side.
Sorry, what? That's your lesson. They fly around in your plane, even though they might have taken your name off.
They fly around in my plane. Yeah, it helps having a dad as a pilot. His company were very excited after the Olympics, and they had an airplane, and they decided to name it after me. I actually got to fly on it once as well. I got to fly down to World Championships in Italy once, and the pilots let me go in the cockpit on the way down. So yeah, it was good. I've got one flight in my own airplane.
That's pretty cool. I mean, and winning an Olympic medal is one thing, but having your own plane and flying in it is another thing. That's pretty cool. Is that the coolest thing when you win an Olympic medal? Is like maybe not having a plane named after you, but what's the coolest thing?
Um, to be honest, like I was a bit overwhelmed by the whole experience. Like I kind of just live in my own little world. Like, someone said to me recently, they were laughing. They saw a video clip from me from like London 2012, and they're like, "You really haven't changed since." I was just like, and I think, yeah, after winning the Olympic medal, I don't know, it was this like weird pressure that I felt like everyone expected me to be some kind of like superhuman athlete when I'm not at all. I'm just like a normal person that likes going sailing. And yeah, I kind of struggled with that sort of that side of it. It's just hard to wrap your head
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, I was actually listening to Shane O'Donnell declare hurler before. He was talking about that. Like he was only a teenager when he scored a hat trick in Croke Park in All Ireland final day, and he was like just getting used to all that kind of publicity and all these like requests. He was like, "I'll do one." He got advice. He was like, "Do one show and that's it," and he did that. But like when you're thrown in the spotlight for somebody and for a sport maybe that we don't pay a huge amount of attention to, what's that like then? Like when the light is on you and the world is watching.
It's it's very strange because you just go from, I think it depends. Like Rob Heffernan thought I was a lunatic. He was like, "It's the best thing ever." He's like, "Your name's gonna be in lights. You're gonna be on buses going down streets." I was like, "That sounds horrendous." I was like, "I just want to keep on like living my life the way I lived it before with my friends and family, and also not be treated differently." I think there's sometimes you get like people treat you weirdly that they wouldn't have before, and it's yeah, it's just it's a strange thing just getting thrown into that. I think maybe if that's in some people's lives, like their goal is to famous, and like their way of getting there is probably by being a sports star. Well, like I don't think that was ever something I thought about. Like it was, yeah, I definitely didn't want to suddenly kind of become a minor Z-list celebrity. But now it's pretty funny. Like my husband's always slagging me. He's like, "You're always trying to make yourself relevant." And I'm like, "Oh God." Like I got recognized in Tesco's today. Yes. when you're like long retired, you got the kicks out of it.
That's hilarious. Well, it's funny though because the different personalities. I was talking to someone recently, kind of background in the NBA and MLB and MLS and stuff in America, and it was interesting. Their perspective was a lot of the players. Now we're generalising here, but it's probably a bit mean. But he was like, most of the players play to have the lifestyle. They don't actually play for the sport. But whereas your career was, you have the sport and you're trying to avoid the cameras and avoid the pressure of it all.
Yeah. I definitely didn't play for the money, considering I'm living in my parents' basement still. At 35, I'm pretty sure if I had not done any Olympic sailing, I would probably be living in a house on my own right now. So it's yeah. I think I was always doing it, and I was always doing it because I like at times I hated it because there's so much pressure and you want to do well, but in general, I loved the sport. I loved getting to go and compete, and I never really cared about money. Probably now I look back on it, I'm like, I probably could have been a bit more like commercially savvy and given myself some opportunities so that when I retired, I didn't have to just move into my parents' house. But but then it's also I got, life is very long, and I also look at it as, I was basically abroad for 15 years competing, and now I get to spend some really good time with them, which I kind of missed out on. So there's kind of the, swings and roundabouts of it.
Yeah. I remember chatting to Cathal Denny about this during the summer. It was more from the athletics kind of scope. But as an athlete, an Irish athlete, I don't know, I hope things are changing. But like, realistically, when you're in the peak of your powers, is there enough support financially for what you do? Like, you're putting Ireland on the map, you're winning an Olympic gold medal. I don't understand why there's not more things like I know the Dutch do. Rob Heffernan talks about the Dutch and the Polish all the time in terms of their structures behind it, in terms of being a civil servant. It just, I struggle to see it. What's it like being an athlete and peak of your powers?
Yeah, I think like I was like there's such a small number. Think of the amount of athletes that are trying to go to the Olympics, that are going to the Olympics, that are competing for Ireland, that are, doing they're getting personal bests, doing really well, but maybe not winning Olympic medals. Like they're definitely struggling to get by. It's not a career choice for them. They're doing it because they're passionate about their sport and they want to achieve. And maybe it's also why maybe we'd have more athletes actually taking it as a sort of semi-career for at least for their 20s, if there was some kind of, I don't know, salary or incentive to do it. But now, you know, I'm in a job and you realize like a 23-year-old can go and earn like a lot of money straight away in a job. You're like, why would, if you've got the choice between that and being on an 18,000 euro grant a year, like it doesn't really add up, and you've got all your expenses then. So yeah, I guess I was lucky. Like when I first got on carding, it was in 2009. So I was qualified for world class funding for 2010, which is 20,000 euros. And like in 2010, that was like really the beginning of like the whole like economic crash. And 20,000 euros was actually quite a lot of money back then. Like it was, I was able to pay for all of my, entry fees and flights and accommodation. And as I went around Europe, because I was also 20, I was like, I was just doing everything cheaply, and I didn't mind like sleeping in my van and stuff like that. Um, but as you get older and the longer you're doing it, the more you're like, this is kind of tough. And yeah, for athletes now, like the world class has moved up to 25,000, but like 25,000 in 2010 compared to now, it doesn't get you like half the amount of stuff. But it's and even top grant and podium, it's been 40,000 since I'm pretty sure the Sydney Olympics. Like in 2000, 40,000 euros would cover all of your costs, and you'd probably be able to live okay on that, no problem. Well, now probably won't cover all your costs. But it is also hard, there's more and more athletes doing really well in Ireland, which is great. So there's more athletes getting on the carding scheme, but that means they need more money because there's more athletes. So they can't, if they were to suddenly start upping the amount that the carding scheme gets, they don't know where they get the money from. So it's it is hard. I think probably athletes that are good at like commercializing themselves are the ones that will be able to take it on as a career, get good sponsors and are good on social media, that kind of stuff. If like I know now that athletes are being told you need to have the whole package. That would be my worst nightmare. Sure, I hate social media. Like, like I'm like allergic to it. I'm like, oh God, I hate doing this. But it's yeah, for athletes now, I think they nearly have to do it and treat it as part of their job, and that's how they can also earn extra income to live and to earn some money.
Yeah. A couple of times it's come up on the podcast. I had a conversation with someone recently. They're kind of pursuing sport abroad and stuff like that. And we were talking about how they're getting on and kind of comparing themselves to their friends that don't play sport and they're doing the usual college thing of going skiing and going interrail and J1, etc., etc. And kind of just, what's it like following your own path and paving the way yourself and not doing what everyone else is doing when everyone's being a sheep, like most people my age are in Australia right now, and I'm like, why haven't I there? How did you find that?
Yeah, I don't know if I was always kind of happy to do something differently, but for my like 6 year holiday, instead of going off to, I feel like it was Crete was where everyone went the year that I did my leaving cert. I just passed my driving test and I took my mum's car and a trailer with three lasers on it and headed off to Europe for 4 weeks, driving around competing at European championships and different events, and then renting the boats so that I could pay for my trip. And that was that was my 6 year holiday. So kind of different. I also like I'd asked my dad, could I have, I think it was a Tom Tom. Like I don't even know if Tom Toms exist anymore, but I was like, can you get me a Tom Tom so that I can find my way around Europe? And he's like, absolutely not. You can have a map of Western Europe. He was in the army, so like that's his idea of he's like, if you can't read maps, you're completely useless. Handed me this like, it was just like a map of Western Europe with like one, it was, I don't know, when you unfolded it all, it was probably an A1 sheet, but like of all of Europe, like there's only like the major roads on it. So I had to learn when I was driving around Europe, like first of all, driving on the right hand side in a right hand drive. So you get to a toll booth and you're having to like climb across the car to pay for it, and then also I'd have a little post-it note on the rear view mirror saying the curb is your friend. Like so I'd always know if the curb was close to me, I was on the right side of the road. If I was far away from the curb, I was like, oh God, am I actually right side of the road here? Um it's actually surprisingly easy to drive a right-hand drive car on the right-hand side of the road. It's nearly harder than when you come back home because I don't know, it's nearly you switch over quite quickly. Now you don't have great like blind spots and stuff. You can't like when you're turning, you can't really see and things.
Maybe for the driver, but not the other drivers on the road.
But yeah, it was. I guess that was what I did, and then I did do fair in college, and I had a really successful first year as a senior, and I knew I wanted to go to the Olympics, and I knew if I wanted to go to the Olympics and have a chance of doing well, I needed to defer my degree and go full time. At least for me, some athletes are amazing; they're able to do dual careers. They're able to be student athletes, and yeah, my brain just doesn't work like that. I can do like one thing pretty well at once. You try and get me to do more than that, like they're all bad. It's just like so because everyone was always like, no, you should, try and keep up college. And I was like, no, I'm just gonna fail college and then do bad at sailing as well. It's like I'm not yeah, I'm not a multitasker. So yeah, I deferred my degree from college and went full time. And yeah, I kind of, I was living a different life to all my friends, but I I was getting it was cool as well. I was going to go travel around the world, go to these amazing countries, get to go, stuff that you just don't get. You as like I really appreciated it as a 19-year-old and 20-year-old, like getting to do these things because I knew that there you don't get this opportunity that often, and I did know I was missing out on stuff, but I also knew like life's long, like you're gonna you'll be able to catch up on it at some point. Which when I did retire, I did. Was going to the pub all the time, and then I was like, I'm not built for this either.
But that's it, isn't it? You catch up on the stuff you missed, and you be working a 9 to 5 for long enough. You may as well enjoy the glory years of being a full time athlete while you can.
Yeah. I always will tell like young athletes that are at that kind of juncture where they're trying to decide, do they go and get a career, or do they go and try and be a full-time athlete? And I'm just like, it's going to be hard, and you're probably going to have, moments where you think this is a terrible idea, where you cry, where you're injured, where you're sad. I was like, but you're never going to look back on it when you're 50 and go, that was a terrible idea. I should have just gone and got myself into, an accountancy firm and done my accounting exams. Like, you've got your whole life to do it. Like, realistically, I think our generation, we're not going to be retiring at 65. We're probably going to be working till we're 80. So, like, you may as well enjoy, like, you've such a finite amount of time to be an athlete as well. Like, there are, of course, exceptions. There's these amazing athletes that really do well into their 30s and maybe some into their 40s, but like they're in the handful. Like, if you're going to be realistic, your best athletic years are 20 to 30. It's just like genetics, biology, physics, everything. You recover so much better. You Obviously, as you get older, you get wiser, and you probably train smarter and stuff like that. But you know being an athlete is a young person's game. Like, it's easy. I used to, you'd spring out of bed and you're like, this is great. And then as I was getting older, I was like, oh God, this is so hard. Um, you're just suddenly like, trying to do all the like recovery, like, making sure you're getting all the right sleep, like getting in, your foam rolling and all this kind of stuff. Well, when you're like a young athlete, you don't like, you're like, oh, sure, I'll just live off 5 hours sleep, and, I'll stretch once every 2 months. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? When the older you get, the longer you spend pre and post recovery, or prep and recovery after training. Unless you're Fanula McCormack and just like one of one. Someday, I don't. She does. Another person actually that hates social media, dying to have her on the
hmm
podcast. Maybe someday, hopefully, maybe if she's listening, you never know. Um, your coach actually gave a great line in the Allianz video, and I thought it was interesting to get your perspective on it. He said, Olympics is at the edge of what people can do. So I'll ask you this: when you're training and being a full time athlete, is it, from my understanding of talking to individual athletes, is it trying to find that line and pushing as far as you can to the line without stepping a centimetre over that line?
It's so now that I'm in the corporate world, there's this perception that you need to try and be better all the time, trying to improve every day. It's like you need to get better every day. And like, my theory is like, I guarantee you, all the world's best athletes, they're not trying to get better every day. They're trying to be consistent. They're turning up. They're getting their sessions done. They're being smart. Like, they're not overtraining when they know that they're sick or tired. They're very good about knowing how to target their training. Like, they know when they have to work on something very specific. They'll like put a lot of effort into that. But I don't think there's this, I think there's sometimes this perception that, like, as a professional athlete, that you go and you smash yourself every day. And it's not sustainable. You're just going to get injured, sick, burnt out. It's like the best athletes are the ones that are able to consistently do good training every day. And, when you have your bad days, you try and learn from what went wrong in them. And then when you have your good days, you like bank them as good days. And that was always kind of my philosophy, was like, try and show up. I'm a big believer in this for everything in life. If you say you're going to be somewhere, just turn up and do it. Even if you don't want to do it, just show up, try your best. I also like, be honest, be like, look, I'm feeling shy today. I don't know how well I'm going to perform, but like, showing up is like half the battle a lot of the time. And I think like in 2013, like I made a few mistakes of trying to train as hard as possible because I thought that was what was going to get me the Olympic medal. And I completely burnt myself out and, nearly wanted to quit after it. Well, then when I kind of had a better sort of method of getting my training done, and that doesn't mean that training isn't hard, but you're just like, you're realistic about what the human body is able to do. And, which is a lot as a professional athlete, but it's knowing your limits, and then, yeah, knowing that every day isn't going to be good. I think that's, you learn more on the bad days than the good days.
So is that one my favorite question? And if people had a drinking game for this podcast, they can take a drink now, because my question that separates the greats from the rest, is it self-awareness of knowing kind of when you're at your limit or where you are? Is it good day, bad day? That consistency piece, showing up. Love that line of just show up. That's half the battle. Are they the three key things? Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, like I think belief as well is so important. This belief, I've like all this, I've seen, like I've trained with like amazing athletes, and I've seen them and they don't believe that they're good enough to ever make it, and they'll be amazing in training, and they're good they're good racers. They're like, but they never quite crack it because they don't believe that they're good enough to be there. And I definitely, even through my career, I struggled with it because when I was confident and when I believed in my abilities, I was so good. But it would take very little for me to lose all of my confidence and not have like any belief in myself. And then it could take like 6 months for me to build that confidence back up again. Like it would be this like roller coaster. And I think like what separates like the really great athletes that are just able to like repeatedly go out and perform, they believe that they should be there, and they believe that they're good enough to be there. And like not in a cocky way, but just it's this like self-belief that um it's quite rare. And I think that's there's a great quote from Steve Redgrave, and it was maybe going into the Athens Olympics, and he kind of talks about how everyone who lines up on the start line, like they're all at the top of their game. But it's literally just the attitude of believing that you can win. That's the difference between winning a medal and not winning a medal. Everyone, like at the Olympics, there's nobody that's like has turned up and hasn't trained really hard to get there. Like you've had to train really hard. You've done it. Like everyone's done everything right. Everyone's done all the preparation right. And then it comes down to belief. And then I guess, there's talent in there as well. Like it's genetic talent uh is a huge part of sports as well. Like you look at certain athletes, you're like, what separates one athlete from another? And it's like they're just genetically more gifted, One athlete can work as hard as that athlete, but they'll never be able to beat the one that has a genetic advantage over them. And that's that's also sport. It's in basketball, you're genetically going to be better at it if you're taller, just because everything's easier when you're higher up. Similar sports. If you're a gymnast, you want to be smaller because you're like trying to rotate your body through the air. You don't want to be 6 foot tall with limbs flying everywhere.
Yeah, no, and I remember James Kerr was only on recently, and I was trying to make the point of, can anyone be, the performer, the elite, whatever they want to be? And he was like, no, that's why it's the elite. It's elite. Like you can't be anyone. Like because it kind of sometimes like, you can, especially if I'm a GA, anyone can, I don't know, play intercounty. Well, actually, you can't, because if you're not genetically starting to become a freak, even at GA levels, you can't, because it's actually the elite of the elite. Or like even soccer academies, 2% of 2%. But in terms of the
Yeah.
mentality of the corporate stuff, maybe that's interesting. I actually saw on your LinkedIn, maybe it's a bit harsh to try get you to synopsis or put together the whole presentation into one, but you had a title, How I Converted Pain, Fear and Pressure into Olympic Medal. Thought that was an amazing
Yeah.
line. I mean, talk about catch the audience in the opener. How did you manage to do that? Give us the presentation there. Go on.
Mm. So I guess London Olympics, I was 22, having the time of my life. I I knew I had the ability to perform really well there. I'd won bronze medals in the sort of the World Cup event that was on in 2011, and then again probably 5 weeks or 6 weeks out from the Olympics. I was just in a really good place, and it was all great crack, and there was not really any pressure on me. And I went into the Olympics, and I I was just faster than everyone else. I had really good boat speed, and I could have probably won a gold medal so easily. But that's something that you can never be prepared for as a 20-year-old that hasn't been put into that position before of being an Olympic gold medalist. When even though it's what you dream of, you don't actually envision it for yourself. You still think that's what other people do. It's not what you do. And coming away basically in the last race, I was in gold medal position, and I completely froze. I looked like you'd look at the footage and you're like, why is there a beginner sailing around there? Like it was it looks like there's a beginner and like someone's just throwing a person in the boat. They're sitting in the middle of the boat like, oh God, I hope I don't capsize here. Like that was kind of what I looked like. And it was just pure fear. I had so much fear there was 2 days before my final race because there was I feel like a rest day or something, and I just was so afraid of losing. Like all I could think about was coming fourth. I never thought about the fact that I had a 3 in 4 chance of winning an Olympic medal. All I thought about was finishing fourth. And on the morning of the medal race, Rory, my coach, said, do you want to bring an Irish flag out? And I was like, oh, I don't think I should bring one out. Like I'd already nearly convinced myself I was going to finish fourth, even though I'd been performing so well all week. And, I felt kind of hard done by that. Like 3 of my competitors had performed to probably the best of their abilities as well. I was like, it was like, like I was upset. I felt like hard done by. I was like, why do they decide that they're going to like, have the best performances of their life the week of the Olympics? Everyone told me that at the Olympics, everyone messes up and does stupid stuff. And, you actually, if you just like sail like a relatively normal person, you're probably going to do well. So I think it was just like hard done by. And I just had the fear of losing. And it's like, if you just think about how all I could think about was coming fourth. Like that was my reality. It was, I was going to come fourth. And afterwards, like I sat down and I had to do these debriefs, probably about 6 weeks after the Olympics. And like the big thing that came out of it was the fear and that pressure. Like, how can you get over that? And then it was kind of the realization was like, I had the biggest opportunity of my life and I threw it away. I sailed really well to put myself in an amazing opportunity to win an Olympic medal. And I didn't see that opportunity. I just saw the worst outcome that could happen. So then 4 years later in Rio, even though I was actually in a very similar situation, I could have actually come fourth or fifth. I just, I was I was still shitting myself, but I was also much calmer. I was like, I have this huge opportunity here. Like, first of all, I know what it feels like to finish fourth, and it is not very enjoyable. But at the end of the day, your friends and family actually don't care. They probably love you even more when you finish fourth. You get a lot more like looked after. And I was just, I was like, this is the opportunity I have to try and like take this on and see what I can do. And also, you have to be aware of the fact that when you're in competition, you can go and be like the best, you can be the best sailor that you've ever been that day, and people might just be better than you. That's the like really harsh reality of sport as well, is you can try really hard and someone can just be better than you. But not being afraid of losing was the big thing for me. And in Rio, I wasn't going into my last race. I wasn't afraid of losing. I really took on the race. And I think that was my big learning lesson is, you know, it's things, yeah, things are scary and you just need to take them on. And also don't be afraid to ask for help. Like in London, I was so afraid to tell anyone that I was scared. Well, like in Rio, the night before the medal race, I kind of said to Rory and Matt McGovern, who was our 49er sailor, I was like, lads, I am absolutely like terrified. I'm not going to sleep tonight. And then Rory was like, I think you need a beer, Murph. I was like, I don't need a beer at a time like this. I was like, I haven't had a beer in 6 months. He was like, yeah, you definitely need a beer. Anyway, I had a beer and I then had the best night's sleep. Like I was like knocked out. So yeah. Yeah, maybe not like for athletic performance, but then since I'm like, oh, I think actually probably, yeah, one bottle of beer isn't going to send you over the edge.
Well, we'll clip that now for every GAA manager in the country. Give them a bottle of beer before the All Ireland final. Um, when you're in that space in Rio, do you acknowledge? Do you say, right, in London, I was in this happy and now I'm not, or is it just your growth and experience?
Yeah, I had this like and so in Rio I was renting an Airbnb apartment. I was staying there with Kate Kirby, my sports psychologist, and Sarah Winther, my New Zealand training partner, who'd qualified for the Olympics and New Zealand hadn't sent her. So she came out and trained with me, and so they were like my little like squad, kind of keeping me like grounded. Actually, Sarah used to bring me down to play basketball every morning because there was a basketball court on the beach right outside the apartment we were renting. And she used to like I played basketball when I was in primary school, but I hadn't played since. And then I was just like, "God, this is great. I'm beating Sarah in basketball every single day." And I was like, I felt pretty good because she'd been like a netball champion in New Zealand. So I was like, I was like, I think I'm like, anyway, after racing the last day, she's like, Murph, got something to tell you. She's like, you're so bad at basketball. She's like, I've been literally having to like hustle you all week, but in the other, like make you think that you're doing well to keep your confidence up. Apparently, like I'd head off sailing and Sarah and Kate would just like basically go and have coffee and just laugh about like all the stuff they'd done to like try and make me like hype me up in the morning, like, airballing stuff like, oh, I missed that one, like so I'd win the like the like warm up game of basketball in the morning.
That is brilliant.
But
But
yeah.
that's it, isn't it? And one of I actually was going to bring this up. I remember you talking about that. I've listened to a couple of interviews you've done about Sarah and not being like qualifying, and not being picked like that. I don't even know. Won't get into that. And then came as your training partner, like for an individual sport to then have. I know you're very close. Like someone from technically she's a rival, but she was not competing. But then like from another country to come in, and I know you called yourselves the team or something
Yeah.
because and you had to be a hard boiled egg because you've made one mistake, I go into a meltdown. I love that. I just think, but was that herself and Kate and you kind of sitting down and planning who came up with the name?
It was actually Rory and Sarah. So we were like Sarah originally was just coming out to Rio to do my last training camp there before the Olympics. So she was coming out for 2 weeks and training was going really well. And it's amazing because first of all, I had like a friend, and then secondly, I had this peer that is world class, but I knew I wasn't going to be racing her at the Olympics. So you're suddenly like you can be so open. It's like you're training with one of your best competitors, but they're in no way a threat to you. So we had this really good sort of training thing going on. And then like one of my problems, like I'd be very good at making race plans. But one of my problems I'd find is when I'm under pressure and something small goes wrong, I panic. And instead of sticking to my race plan, I do the complete opposite. I'm like, I'll just do it's like a brain, I don't know, what did Rory call it? Tactical deviance. It's just like it's like self-sabotage nearly. You don't feel like it is at the time, but anyway, I'd been winning a race and then I did something stupid and then I panicked and did the complete opposite of what I'd planned to do and ended up doing really badly. This isn't like little training race. It didn't really matter. Like it didn't matter for anything. But anyway, Rory was like, "Come on, we're going in." I was like, "Oh." So it was also like a really long tow back in. So we were towing for an hour, which you're sitting in your boat getting blasted in the face with sewage water for an hour. Anyway, we eventually got back in, and Sarah was also like the queen at like she'd literally be de-rigged, showered, and changed in I'd say 30 seconds. I don't even know how she'd do it. And like I wasn't slow, but she'd make me look slow. Like I was pretty fast. Everyone would be like, "Oh yeah, you're very fast at like getting ready." But she was like next level. Like you turn around, you'd be like you'd still be with your boat in the water and she'd be there like fully showered and changed. I'd be like, what? How'd you do that? But anyway, so by the time I got showered and changed and like wanted to do a good scrub of soap because like I'd had a lot of the old sewage water blasted into my face. Um, Sarah and Rory are sitting there and there's a whiteboard. We were from this the Rio Sailing Club. We were like up on the little balcony and there was a whiteboard and Rory had drawn an egg. And Rory's like, Murph, Sarah and I have decided that you're an egg. I was like, oh, here we go. And he's like, you're a raw egg. Something small goes wrong and you just crack and there's yolk everywhere and it's a total mess. And he was like, we need to fix this. He's like, we've got 3.5 weeks to turn you into a hard boiled egg for the first race of the Olympics. I was like, okay. Like it was, I was just kind of like, I'll just like let them along with this little like joke that they have. But they then got so into it. And it was just like the egg, the hard boiled egg. And then, I kind of had to like buy into it as well because they were so into it. And yeah, then it was, it became, we had all these stupid egg puns, like very like, it's like, oh, it's egg-tastic and, excellent and all this kind of stuff. And then, all, like we're going to turn all the competitors are going to get turned into omelets and scrambled eggs and all this kind of stuff. Well, I'm just going to be a hard-boiled egg. Um, and that was, yeah, it's funny. It was like a good, like, it broke the ice and it made something that's like, the Olympics, it becomes so serious because they're only once every 4 years and it feels like it's your life ambition. And then
It broke the ice.
it kind of made it just like a little bit, yeah, it just made it a little bit sillier. And it was, yeah, and yeah, it was, remember what's inside the egg. That's what's important. Everything outside the egg isn't. And you just need to keep everything inside the egg and not crack. And yeah, it was, I called the boat at the Olympics, I called it Good Egg because in the laser class, which is now called the ILCA, it is international laser class, but you get drawn a boat at the Olympics. So they're all brand new boats and you just pick a number out of a hat basically and you get given a boat. So it's like, I loved it because there's no, like, you're on such a level playing field. Like you and the other 45 competitors that you're up against, they're all like, you're all given exactly the same stuff, which is really nice. There's so many sports where you don't know if someone has an advantage. And even in sailing, there's a lot of the other classes, they bring their own boats and, there probably is equipment advantages and stuff. Well, and say like in the laser, it's just, it's, it's so good. There's just, you're like, so anyway, yeah, I pulled the number out of the hat and then we christened it Good Egg. And yeah, it was all just keep everything in the egg and try not to crack and turn into an omelette.
So the key to winning an Olympic silver medal is experience from, well, it doesn't have to be experience, but just learning, whether it's a previous Olympics or another race, having a friend there, playing basketball and thinking you're very good and you're not.
Yeah.
Puns, particularly egg puns, but
Yeah.
just having a bit, something to just break the ice and even having a beer before, just having people there that just ground you, that help you realise that this is not the Olympic Games, even though it is the Olympic Games and it is only every 4 years. And I'd say that drives people nuts the night before the biggest day of their life because everyone talks about, I hate it even, oh, you waited 4 years. This is your whole life. Like, you didn't just start training 4 years and then make the Olympics. Like,
Yeah.
that's not how it works. So, like, is that how you cope with it? Like, the biggest day of your career?
I think I definitely did really well in Rio. I had just a great setup. Living with Kate and Sarah. Rory was living in an apartment just around the corner, so he'd come every morning and have coffee with us. And then Mark, my physio, was in that apartment, so every day after sailing, I'd go back to that apartment and do some active recovery, and if I needed any physio or anything. So, and even just my family were all close by as well. They'd all managed to come out and like, so we had a rest day and I was able to meet up with my brother and sister and they brought me to the cinema. It's like, it's all about just trying to keep yourself calm and grounded and having like a team of people around you that are there in your corner and are there to support you. It was in Tokyo, that was something I really struggled with, was the complete opposite. I was in a hotel room on my own. We weren't allowed to leave the hotel rooms except to go down to go sailing. I found it very isolating compared the two different experiences, and I think that got into my head, the the idea of it all was just you've you've too much time to think. Well, when you've got lots of people around you that are just distracting you all the time, it stops you overthinking things and getting worried about things and thinking about what ifs and what I haven't done and what I should have done and that kind of stuff.
Kevin McManaman gave a line in an interview before, it was after the 2011 final and Always Achieve, but he was talking about before the 2011 final, kind of learning from it. And he was like, I just pick a time before a game and I park it, because the more I think about it, the worse I'll actually get. I actually won't get any better. I'll actually just get worse because you just overthink it and the egg will crack.
Yeah. It's you can just like, I think that's in sport. I think athletes do the best are the ones that are able to just not overthink. They're just able to, it is about going, having your plan, knowing what you want to do, and not thinking about all the other variables that can affect it. Because there's so many things that can go wrong and that you can think about. And it's trying to, only, that's kind of saying control the controllables, but you can't control what anyone else is going to do. You can't control the weather. You can't control your competitors. You can't even control your equipment. Things can go wrong. So it's just about being well prepared and then like not, yeah, not trying not to let your head play games
Yeah,
on you.
because that was actually, I'd written down, like, how do you deal with in a sport that just has so many variables, like the weather? And I know that race when you had the helicopter completely threw you, that was definitely a competitor was like, quick, get the helicopter in and get her out. Like, even the boat, having a different boat, like that's for some people listening that go through their pre-game routine and have their chicken pasta or whatever, everything's all the same, right sock, left sock, etc. You don't have any of that really when you go out.
Mm. Yeah, sailing is a sport where you have to be very adaptable and very comfortable with getting the unknowns thrown at you the whole time. Or even you have to be very good at waiting as well and being able to switch off and switch back on. It's funny, we've brought out different support staff to competitions that have maybe never been involved in sailing before. And we'll turn up to a venue and then we'll be like, oh, there's no wind. Yeah, we're just gonna wait on shore for 3 hours now. They're like, what do you mean? I'm just like, oh look, they put the flag up. You see? That flag with that flag underneath it means we have to wait for 3 hours. Yeah, like, you have to wait here for 3 hours. What are you gonna do? Like, I don't know, drink coffee. And then it's like, or it'll be the opposite. It'll be like turn up and there'll be like a storm and it'll be like blowing stink. And then we'll be like, oh yeah, no, we're just gonna have to go home for the day. Hopefully they'll do more races tomorrow. Um, or that you go out on the water and there's lovely wind and then it suddenly dies and you're sitting on the water for hours. And you just have to be very good at like being able to switch off and then switch back on. So it's a weird sport. It'd be nice if they just picked venues that had nice wind all the time. Because there are lots of places around the world that have pretty good wind all the time. But for some reason in sailing, like the Marseille Olympics, for example. Like it was always going to be a terrible place to have sailing for the Olympics. Like it's known during the summer that most of the time it's really hot and no wind. And then occasionally there's the Mistral where it's so windy you can't go sailing. There isn't really any in between bit. And basically they got the no wind and really hot for the all of the Olympics. And that's like it makes made the sport look bad. Like there was the choice between having La Rochelle and Marseille, and La Rochelle's on the sea. They get really good sea breezes during the summertime. It would have been probably a really good Olympic venue. And sometimes politics takes over and they forget about the important bit of actually the fact that you need wind to make boats move. But it's I don't know, I think sometimes it's nearly like forgotten. It's like, oh, I'm sure there will be wind that week. That's and it's like when you look at the like historical averages, it's like there's been no wind here for like any summer for the last 100 years. It's probably not going to suddenly like appear the summer of the Olympics.
Yeah, and especially when the surfing was in Tahiti,
Exactly.
and then
And
you've got the sailing in Marseille. Like,
yeah, and surfing, like they have the right idea. Like surfing is only held in venues where there's really good waves. And even occasionally, the swell doesn't come in and they don't get the waves, but they normally give themselves a big enough period. Like they don't just say we're having the competition on the Saturday and Sunday. They'll give themselves a week or 10 days. And then it means that they're able to use, the days that are going to have the best swells. And yeah, I think sailing could learn a lot from a sport like surfing where they realize how boring it will look if there's no waves. You know, people just lying on their surfboards.
Yeah. Imagine them trying to do surfing in Marseille.
Yeah.
Or somewhere like, or yeah. What do you think? Like, what's the most difficult Olympics to make? Your first, your second, or your third?
My first was the easiest. I I went to the Worlds in Perth. They were in December 2011. It was the first opportunity to qualify for the Olympics. And it was funny, in my mind, it didn't even occur to me that I wouldn't qualify. I just thought it was a done deal. And anyway, after the first 3 days of racing, I'd made the gold fleet, and the way it had been split, there was actually less than 25 nations, I think, in the gold fleet. So it meant everyone that got into the gold fleet automatically qualified for a spot at the Olympics. So that was so easy. It was like literally like I did, I think, 5 races, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to the Olympics. Well, um, for Rio, it was tough because I felt like there was so much pressure to qualify because I was like, I need to go to these Olympics to try and win a medal. And what happens if I don't even qualify? And the qualifiers were on in Santander in 2014. And I think I was coming 96th after the first day. Like, did so badly. Like, it was a disaster first day. And then I think there was no wind on the second day. And then I think the third day we were going to do 3 races. And it was just like, I basically had to have 3 really good races to get into the gold fleet to give myself a chance of qualifying. And I had 3 really good races, and that got me in exactly the same conditions as had been on the first day. It was funny. It wasn't like, I don't know. I think it was just like this pressure had got to me, and I just like, I wouldn't have minded it was 2 completely different days. I was like, I could be doing really well in this event. And instead, I'm like fighting in the 50s. And I needed every single race to get myself into a qualifying position. So it's quite a difficult World Championships. The wind was very funny. I think we only did 7 of the 10 races, or even 6 of the 10 races. But I only qualified Ireland for a spot in my final race. Like, and we thought we were going to get another day of racing, and we didn't because there was no wind. So it was yeah, that was a tough and stressful regatta because it was hard to qualify, and I only just did it. Now I would have had other opportunities like in 2015, but it was pretty good to actually get the spot out of the way. It kind of was able to relax me a bit and sort of have a better winter training rather than thinking about having to qualify for the Olympics. And yeah, and then in Tokyo we had our trials, and then with COVID and everything, it was all a bit of a mess. So we did the World Championships in Australia. They were on just before COVID. It's like, I think I got home on like the 6th of March or the 8th of March. And then it was like full lockdown. But um I'd finished 12th of those World Championships, and that was kind of had given me enough points to be leading the qualifying by quite a lot. And yeah, and then there was this like up in the air. It's like, is the Olympics even gonna happen? So I also think I had a really good attitude in 2020. I was like, I want to go to the Olympics to try and win a gold medal. And I was very relaxed about it all. Like, I really do wish that the Olympics had happened in 2020 and not 2021, because I just had that, like, I was like in this headspace where I knew exactly what I wanted to do and do it. Well, that extra year of training, and it's hard. Like, you're tired all the time, and you hurt all the time. And yeah, I trained really hard, but I don't know if I think the extra year didn't like do me any favors. Well, for a lot of athletes, the extra year actually helped them a lot. Gave them that extra bit of time they needed to get better.
Mm. Do you think, from your experience of being an individual athlete, and I know it was interesting here about the piece around Rio, because you became a team, but like for the majority of your career, were you very lonely? Like, is it very lonely in the pursuit of being an individual athlete?
Um, Not really. Like, I've had Rory around for most of my career. He he went to the Athens Olympics in 2004, and he went and got a job in AIB selling mortgages. the height of the Celtic Tiger. And he said he remembered he was in work one day in the office, like kind of giving out all sorts of loans to people, and he was like, "I really think there's more to life than this." So he started coaching. So actually, he was coaching the youth squad from 2005. So he was basically my coach from 2005. So I always had this like Rory was he's my coach. We also kind of grew up together, you know, it was like he's just great pal that like we definitely had our fights and like I was definitely difficult at times. But it was yeah, I always felt like I had a good you know, a team, we were a good team and there was someone in my corner who I could trust, which was great. And yeah, it's like I was friends with everyone I raced against as well. Like probably maybe it wasn't even a good thing, you know, like I thought everyone was my friend and like everyone didn't think that I was their friend kind of thing. It's but it's also nice. Like I don't think any competitors would ever have turned around and said, "Oh, like Annalise, she only won because she was a total bitch on the water" or anything like that. You know, it was like very much I think I did well because it was nice. It was nice that I felt like I had friends. Like in the London medal race, I felt like, except for even the three girls who ended up beating me to medals, like everyone else in the top 10, I felt like was one of my really good friends. Like it was quite cool to be there. Like I knew there was people that were up for me in that race to try and do well, which is kind of nice. Yeah. And being an individual, it's great as well because you only have to worry about yourself. You get very good at, you know, you can't blame someone else for your mistake. It's always your mistake. You're the like it ends with you. You have to accept, be very good at being critical about the mistakes you've made and then learning from them. It's funny. I think like now I like hate probably being told what to do because I've spent so much of my life having to figure out how to do things for myself and make decisions myself. And when people tell me what to do, I'm just like, no, shut up. I'm not going to do that. Like it's yeah, it's so but then team sports are a lot of fun. Like I've been cycling the last few years. I'm on a cycling team and I have great crack with the girls. Like it's there's way more, I guess, when you win in a team, it's a lot of fun because you're not just winning for yourself. There's the buzz of everyone else and their emotions and how they feel, and that's kind of
Mm.
cool.
That was the other thing. Afric did give me a question. Is the Winter Olympics still in the plan?
Oh yeah, the double luge.
So, so could explain this, please. This was brilliant.
Yeah, so Africa and I just feel like our athletic careers aren't quite over. I know we both have real jobs now and are, you know, podcasters. But yeah, I'm just like Africa. I'm just like, I think we should just do the Winter Olympics. I was like, Winter Olympics. Okay, if you want to be a downhill skier, you need to have been skiing from when you were 1 day old. I was like, but there's lots of sports in the Winter Olympics that if you're athletic and strong and know how to train, you probably just need to do like a lot of hard training over 4 years to maybe qualify. I'm not talking about winning medals. I'm like, maybe qualify. I don't think you're going to suddenly be like the world's best, you know. But yeah, the double luge, it's like a two-person going down like the bobsleigh tracks, but you're just on like a luge, like a basically like a little flat, you know, sled, and you lie on top of each other. And I was like, this would be great because you also like it helps to be heavy and like myself and Africa are both like I'm like 6 foot and Africa's like 5'11. So I was like, we can just go to the gym and get like really strong. We wouldn't have to like be worrying. We could be eating all the jellies and cake we wanted, and we just like hurtle ourselves down a mountain. Anyway, yeah, she gets a good laugh out of me, and I'm like, no, like I'm serious. I'm like, if we could do it, imagine it'd be you know, just like live the dream for a bit longer.
Yeah. Look, Milan probably out of the question. 2026.
It is
Where are we in?
probably out of the
Where are we?
question.
2030. Plus, you want it to
I
be.
actually
You
don't
want to be
know.
somewhere good. Like you have to start taking these countries off the bucket list. You know. I think great,
Just
and it's funded. Probably you probably get it covered. I mean,
I just feel like the Winter Olympics, like it's pretty cool.
Untapped in
Like
Irish sport.
I know I'm being delusional here, but like if you could go, like I think you go watch the figure skating, go watch all the skiing, like it'd be yeah, like I know Summer Olympics is cool, but Winter Olympics, like yeah, love the figure skating, love speed skating's class as well. That
I've seen some of that and
yeah.
it's nuts.
Then
Nuts.
the biathlon where they're cross country skiing and shooting, like it's there's all these things that you're like, who made up this sport? But it's it's good to watch.
And I mean, what a headline that would be. Two summer Olympic medalists decide, not
Yeah.
throw their medals away.
Now in the double
Yeah,
luge.
flip it to the winter.
Yeah.
Do the double luge. That's brilliant. But
Our only problem is we do think I've done a little bit of research. I think you might need to have a good bit of fast twitch, like be explosive to get off the start line quickly. And the two of us were both endurance queens. Like we're literally like diesel tractors. It's like we can go all day long at a very good pace, but we can't go fast for any amount of time.
is there a longer distance double
No, I
luge
don't think so.
that we
Yeah, I
could
think
try?
it's just
Okay,
downhill. But
we
anyway,
could invent
we can
that.
look into it. It would be
Out of interest though, like why, like even with the cycling, it's really interesting. I remember talking to Julianne Russell about it as well. Like she's doing high rocks and all this stuff. She's mad, but
Mhm.
like some athletes just give it up and don't want to ever look at sport or the gym or anything again. Like you started doing
Mhm.
cycling, double luges down the pipeline. Why do you want it?
I love training. I love the way it makes you feel. I love like the endorphins you get from training. I just am like I feel I feel if I don't manage to get some exercise in, I'm just miserable. And my exercise these days, a lot of it is just cycling to work and cycling home, but it's still getting outside in the open air, and that's yeah, like it's just yeah, it's just yeah, going training. It's just I was always really good at training. I was better at training than I was at competing. But yeah, racing on the bike has been so much fun because there's no pressure. I it kind of when I started racing, it reminded me of when I was 19, 20 sailing, where I was just doing it because it was fun. I was good at it. I was having a laugh. It was, it's, you're so much freer. You're able to, there's no worries. And racing just at like a sort of a national level in Ireland on the bike, it's quite similar. Like I'm not trying to make any funding targets. I'm not trying to, you know, it's not the difference if I win or if I don't win, whether I get picked for a team or something like that. I'm literally just racing because I enjoy it. I love competition, and that kind of pushing yourself, seeing what your body is able to do, I guess. And yeah, that's why it's just yeah, I'm starting to miss sailing now. I am think I'm going to get back once it's getting a bit cold though. I was like, oh, maybe I'll get back into sailing now. And I was like, oh, it's kind of getting cold as well. So it might be the sort of when it starts to warm up a bit next year, I'll try and get back into sailing because I do miss being out on the water. I was sailing a bit during the summer and you kind of forget how nice it is to sail. But yeah, cycling's great because I don't know, living in Rathfarnham, like you're so close to like the Dublin Mountains and the Wicklow Mountains, and you just go up there and you're in your whole like a whole different world. And it's you're outdoors, you're not, you're just thinking about your legs going around in circles. You're not you can you don't have to anything that you were worrying about generally, I think seems a lot less of a worry once you're out doing a bit of exercise. I find that, for anything. It's like things that seem like a big problem once you're out cycling away or whatever you're doing, it's suddenly you're like, that's actually not such a big problem. Yeah.
Interesting. What's the biggest lesson you've learned from sport?
The biggest lesson I've learned from sport. It's probably I have to think about this and not just pull out the first thing that pops into my head. It's probably like losing. It's you can do everything right and you can still lose. And there, there's like a piece around like what you think you deserve. Like there's been so many times in my sporting career where I felt I'd worked so hard and I felt I deserved something and then I didn't get it. And that's the like amazing thing about sport. It doesn't matter how much you deserve something. It doesn't mean you're going to get it. Like that's the kind of reality of it. And I think in life, like it's the same, you can think you deserve something, but that doesn't mean that someone else doesn't deserve it more than you. They've worked as hard or, things just work out for them. So I think it's that like, first of all, in life, you're probably going to lose a lot more than you win. That's a big lesson in sport. And I think that's so important to learn, kids that are playing sport to learn that to lose, that you're not always going to win everything. Um, because it's good for you. It makes you realize you can pick yourself back up and be like, okay, how can I try and get better? And then, yeah, just realizing that just because you feel you deserve something doesn't mean you're going to get it. Um, you're probably not going to get it. Actually, I sometimes think when you think you deserve something, you're definitely not going to get it. But it's just a great leveler. There's no you can't shite talk your way into a good result. There really is you're either gonna do it or you're not gonna do it. And when you don't do it, you'll be able, if you're honest with yourself, you'll be able to say the reasons why you didn't. So, and that was, when in Tokyo, I performed really badly. I finished 18th. And like, I I went there thinking I deserved to win a gold medal. First of all, I shouldn't have. I don't. No one deserves to win a gold medal. You have to earn it every single day through your competition. And then I performed badly. I was afraid to start on the first day. I like shied away from starting where I should have started on the start line, and I went to the other end of the line. And then I ended up getting messed up by a boat from Fiji, which I then tried to use that as an excuse after the race, but it wasn't an excuse. The reason I was in that position was because I was afraid of starting in the difficult place at the right end of the line where I was going to have a good race because I was afraid of messing it up. So I went to the other end of the line to try and have an easier start, but then I ended up getting completely messed up there anyway. So you just have to be honest with yourself, and no, like learn from your mistakes. Obviously, it's not great if you make your mistakes in your last ever competition, but no, it's maybe if I'd won a gold medal in Tokyo, I'd have been like a total asshole and not learnt that I have to just like grind on through life, get a proper job, do the 9 to 5.
Yeah, I love that line. You can't shy talk your way into performance, but you can email for a slot in the World Championships. You did that when you were young, did you?
I did, yeah. It was the World Championships in 2007, so I was 17 at that time, and there was the big thing as a teenager is to qualify for the Youth Worlds. And only one person gets to go, and it's kind of like the mini Olympics of sailing, but it happens every year, and it's for up until you're 18. And I'd lost the trials, and I was so disappointed because I really thought I'd trained really hard all winter. I thought I was gonna go to the Youth Worlds and do really well at the Youth Worlds. I was so excited about it, and a girl, Tiffany Bryan, absolutely whooped me in the trials. Like so, she was actually a very good sailor, and I knew she was a very good sailor, but I still thought that I would be able to beat her, and I didn't. And then suddenly my summer plans of going to the Youth Worlds were out the window. So I started like trying to figure out, well, what was I going to do? I went onto the World Sailing website. I think it was the ISAF website at the time was what it was called. And there was the 2007 Olympic class World Championships to qualify for the Beijing Olympics. There was applications to basically enter. So I like filled in this application and emailed it off for myself and my older sister Claudine. And I didn't think anything of it. Like it turned out that you had to get your MNA, your like national authority to nominate you. But I just like basically went to World Sailing. I was like, hi, Annalise Murphy, Claudine Murphy, put in all our details, and then World Sailing offered us the places. And then I went to James O'Callaghan, who was our performance manager at the time, or director at the time. He still actually is the performance director in Irish Sailing. And I was like, "Hi James, so we've got entries for the World Championships in Cascais. Um, but we can't pay for them. You have to pay for them because it won't let us pay for them." He was like, "You've done what?" I was like, "Yeah, I found a link on the website and I've entered Claudine and myself." So yeah, we got to go to our first big senior world championships, the two of us. We stayed with there's actually a member of our sailing club in Dunleary. His daughter lived down there, and so we stayed with her with Geraldine, and she like looked after us. Used to drop us down to sailing every day, was bringing us out for dinners. And my sister actually performed the best of all of the Irish. There was Ciara Pilo and Debbie Hanna, who were the kind of two main contenders for the Beijing Olympics, and they ended up in the silver fleet with me. My sister was the only person who made the gold fleet, so she made the gold fleet. But she had broken her ribs a week before the World Championships, so she was one of the sailors had given her, I think, some Dyphine, and it had like got her through like most of the week, but she ran out towards the end. And then she like literally, I couldn't even move around the boat by the end because she didn't have any more of the painkillers. Like we were so amateur hour, like the two of us, like didn't know what we were up to. But it was it was quite cool to go and see people qualifying for the Olympics and see what it meant. And it was exciting, being in that. It was my first time sort of seeing that, I guess, Olympic style bubble of all the different classes and all the different people. And yeah, it was I was 17, and like Debbie used to give out to me every day because I used to come in from sailing and I'd get a cheeseburger and chips because I was really hungry. And she was like, "Annalise, you can't eat that." I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I'm starving." I was like, "I'm gonna get a cheeseburger and chips every single day." And like she's still like, I'm really good friends with Debbie, and like to this day she's still like, "You and your cheeseburger and chips when you're 17." Sure, I was like so like tall and skinny, like, and I'd just be like eating the cheeseburgers, and like she'd be there, like she had all her Tupperware with like all of her food really well prepared, like she was so professional. And I was just like munching into cheeseburgers and chips as a 17-year-old, like no awareness of like sports nutrition at all. Although now I look back on it and I was like, well, I was getting in like probably a bit too much fat, but like definitely lots of good carbs as well, you know. So like I was actually probably fueling correctly for how tough a regatta it was. Just probably needed a few more carbs, a little bit less of the deep fried stuff. But it's yeah, it was my first, I guess, senior team experience, and it was you just I think that's the thing in life also is looking for opportunities all the time, checking things. It's you know like that whole saying, what if you don't ask you won't get, like you're never, if you ask something a stupid question, like the worst that's gonna happen is you're gonna get no reply. It's not, you're not gonna, well, quite often you might, try and ask to go and do something, and you get this opportunity that you probably didn't deserve to get, but it kind of comes your way anyway.
There you go. But it also made it real. Like, but how does it go? Like in terms of like another drinking game question, definition of success for any of the listeners that tune in. But looking back, like 17-year-old Annalise emailing to enter the worlds, eating a cheeseburger, success and ambition. Compare that maybe to 2016 and to now. What's that been like? Kind of those three kind of phases.
I don't know if as a teenager I really had any ambition, if that makes sense, or like I never occurred to me that I could be good enough to win an Olympic medal. Like I was having a great time doing a sport that I really enjoyed, but it wasn't I wasn't someone that was like, I'm going to win an Olympic medal from when I was a teenager. Like it wasn't really until probably the lead into London where I started to be like, maybe I could be good enough to win an Olympic medal. Like it's, it took a long time. It took a lot of good results to make me start to think like, oh, I could actually be one of the like top contenders in the world. Because the reality is, like, as a teenager, when you go and race against seniors, like you're coming in the 80s and 90s and you're trying really hard. You're just like, how do I get from 95th to first? Like it seems like such a huge gulf, but as you get better, you progress. And that's in all sports, everyone's kind of the same. And then, yeah, in Rio, like, I guess actually managing to do it. It's also something that I still am like, I wasn't, I wasn't born a prodigy or an Olympic champion, like to actually win an Olympic medal. It's, it's only now that I really appreciate how difficult it was and how difficult it is to win Olympic medals. Like they don't come around very often. And obviously I'd love to have three of them, but I have to do with my one that I have. And, really remember how lucky I am that I was able to, first of all, be fit and healthy enough to go and compete and do it. And that when it really counted, that I was able to kind of put my mind to it. And then I guess now I'm just, yeah, trying to enjoy life, retirement of life, which is it's also tough, You go from the great thing about being in sport, an Olympic sport or professional sport, is you just have this singular focus. You can be quite selfish in your life, you're at the end of the day, everything is revolving around trying to be in the best condition and the best shape to perform. And it's your job to do that. And that's kind of your excuse for everything. You don't feel like going out to meet friends for dinner. You're like, sorry, I have to have an early night because I'm training hard tomorrow. Well, you don't really have that excuse, when you're just like, you're like, I actually just think I'm going to sit on the couch and not watch Netflix. I just don't really want to see anyone. You can't really do that. Um, and yeah, and it's, yeah, there's, but then there's also you get the good side of retirement life where you get to spend a lot more time with your family, a lot more time with your friends. You get to, you don't miss out on all those moments. You don't miss out on family weddings and, big parties and stuff like that. So there's that kind of side of it, it's
I was actually chatting to my auntie there over the weekend. She was like, "Oh, how's the podcast going?" I was, "Oh, geez, I've Annalise Murphy coming on." She's, "Geez, that's great. Ask her about getting seasick." You get seasick, is it?
oh, I get so seasick. Yeah, so it's like I've been like I was once on a small ferry from one of the Canary Islands. I think I was going from Fuerteventura to Gran Canaria. We were training. I think we were training in Fuerteventura, but then the European Championships from Gran Canaria. So we're like, we'll just get the ferry across. And I just puked for the entire hour of the ferry. Oh, it was awful. But in 2017, I did the Volvo Ocean race. I ended up on a team called Turn the Tide on Plastic, and I did a tryout, and I was so seasick for the whole tryout. And I was like, sure, they definitely won't want me. Like, I was puking out the back of the boat the whole time. And anyway, at the end of it, they were like, we'd love to have you on the team. So I was like, I'm going to have to sort out this seasickness problem that I have. Um, Now, you see, it's very different. In a small dinghy, like a laser, you're so close to the water. I'd still on like light wind, like very light winds and big swell, like huge big wave days, I'd be feeling pretty nauseous. But most the rest of the time you're not. You're like it's a totally different motion because you're not getting that big up and down like because your boat's so close to the water and you're having to concentrate so much. But during the Volvo Ocean race, I was like, I need to figure out something. So my sister's a doctor, so she was like, she tried the scopoderm patches. So you stick them on your ear and they can make some people crazy and they like dilate your pupils and all sorts of stuff. But they actually like worked, like they were the perfect job for me for the whole Volvo Ocean race, to the point where I thought, oh, I don't get seasick. And anyway, I normally before we'd go off to do a leg, I'd make sure to stick it on 24 hours beforehand so that I'd have a good dose of it in there and it was like well stuck on because they kind of lasted I think 72 hours the patches. And then once you were through those first 24 hours, I generally was okay. But on the leg from Newport, Rhode Island to Cardiff, I'd forgotten to put it on. I was like, sure, I don't even get seasick anymore anyway. And I was like, I better just stick it on. So I stuck it on just before the start of the race. And then in the Volvo Ocean race, you do all these you do like a mini race inside at the harbour, basically for the entertainment for the spectators before you head off on your blast across the ocean. And I was the job I had on the boat was the runner winch, which was like really physical and hard work. We were doing all these turns and going around corners. So I was like flat out. So I was pumping sweat. Anyway, the patch fell off my ear because it like sweated off or whatever. And the first night, like we were coming out, crossing the Atlantic, I was like, oh God, I'm not feeling great. And anyway, I was just next 24 hours, just so sick. And I got to the stage of seasickness where I wish I was dead. It's just like, um, like I'm lucky that I get over it after 24 hours. I think most people would if they're like, the thing is, most people who get seasick, they probably won't ever go on a boat for 24 long enough to realize that you do get over it after 24 hours. But the problem is, you like, if you are sick in those first 24 hours, you just like your stomach gets damaged and you're just, so I think I just lived on like Haribo's and pot noodles for like that whole leg. It was actually pretty fast though. I think it was only 8 days long. So it wasn't too bad a leg to have to only live on pot noodles and Haribo's
Yeah.
for.
Amazing. I do want to ask, also conscious of time, if you need to go, let me know. I've really enjoying this. Just Eve McMahon. What's her potential for people that don't understand the sport as well? Where can she go?
So, so Eve started training with us in 2019, and I'm pretty sure we were going to a training camp out in, was it Villamora or Lanzarote, and she didn't have she wasn't even 16 yet. So with Ryanair, like they won't let you fly without a guardian. I think you have to have a guardian. So it's like one of us would have to be her guardian. Like that's how young, that's how long she's been out on the circuit for. And yeah, very independent even from then. Came down to Australia in 2020 for the World Championships. We went down for I think 3 months. We were down from January to March. Oh no, it wasn't. It was maybe 9 weeks. 9 weeks we were down there for, and she came down for the full 9 weeks on her own, and just like got on with everything herself. And again, I think she turned 16 on that trip because her birthday's in February. So I think she turned 16 and I turned 30 on that trip. Like I was feeling very old. And yeah, and I was just knew she's like just super independent, super determined and really competitive. And I was like, I just knew as long as she wanted to do it, she's gonna have a great career. And sure, she's just everything's gone from strength to strength for her. Like she's had a fantastic year this year. She was third at the World Championships. She was second in the World Cup final. She won the sort of World Cup event out in the Olympic venue, which is a big deal. To be able to perform in the Olympic venue is really important. So yeah, I think she's got like a really good career ahead of her. Like she's still so young. She's still only 21. So it's that's always what you have to remember is like she's still like, like the average Olympic medalist in sailing wins an Olympic medal at 32. Like it's a sport that like rewards people that basically, because it's just like experience and like getting better and better. Like it's now it is a bit younger generally in the Ilka class, but it was still like in Marseille, Marit, the gold medalist. She was what third? She's 2 years older than me, so she would have been 36 in Marseille. Anne Marie was 33 in Marseille. I think Lena is 29. So, it's like that is the medal profile. But I think Eve has like a really good career ahead of her. It's exciting as well. It's also she's so young, like she can if she can make mistakes now and figure them out and learn from her mistakes because it is, she's so young and she's got, so much ahead of her. So it's pretty exciting. Like in a way I'm like, God, she's gonna be so good. So like it's nearly like but I think it's exciting time for Irish sailing that, we've got someone that's got so much talent and got, talent for a long time. It's not just that she's got a window. She could go to the next 3 or 4 Olympics if she wants to.
Amazing. I do want to ask, it was so interesting learning about you as well. And during you bought jeans instead of food and you were eating ham and cheese sandwiches. Like when you talk about all the setbacks you've had solo traveling, you were like, oh, just waiting 3 hours if the wind comes back, and if it doesn't, we just wait. Like when we talk about resilience or toughness, like what does that word mean to you?
It's I think resilience is being able to pick yourself back up again when things go wrong. Because they do go wrong, you know. Um, it's uh, it's yeah, being. I'm definitely tough. I just yeah, I don't know if I'm always like feel like I have. I don't know if I feel like it, but it's just I'm like I want to prove that I'm able to do something, and I hate being being helped like or as in like being like, oh, you can't do that. Like I'm always trying to do stuff that I don't know how to do, and I just try and figure out how to do it myself. So I think that's like it just goes wrong for me as well. But I'm also not afraid for things to go wrong. It's funny, like I'll just be trying stuff that could go horribly wrong, and other people will be like, why are you doing that? Like that's so stupid. And I'm like, oh, like what's the worst that can happen? I don't know. I was like trying to fix like something in the office, like from the electricity, like light bulbs, and I was like hanging from the ceiling, like trying to fix something. And someone's like, "You shouldn't be doing that." I was like, "Sure." I was like, "It's grand. I turned all the switches off on the power board beforehand." And I was like, "Why did you do that?" I was like, "Well, I didn't want to electrocute myself." So yeah, I think you just it's yeah, just don't try not to. I definitely have a very laid back attitude to life, I think, in general. I still try to do things well, but I kind of joke that I probably my attention to detail isn't great. Like I do try very hard at stuff, but I don't worry about it not being right. I'm like an okay job is better than a job not done at all, which like sometimes I'm like maybe in the old corporate world maybe they're not so into that. I'm like, well, I could have just not done it because I didn't know how to do it, but I tried to do it, and I will admit it is like a 6 out of 10, but it could be a 0 out of 10 because it could be not done.
Yeah, no, that's I like that in definition. Kind of a bit of kind of figure it out. You're figure it out no matter what. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm gonna say yeah. I think in life figure stuff out. Everything things work out, things don't work out, but if they haven't worked out, there's probably a reason they haven't worked out, and you just need to not get too, it's also, I still get disappointed about things that don't work out for me, but I'm able to kind of move on fairly quickly because I realize that is life. Things don't, more often than not, things don't work out. But if you're able to move on from it and try something else, then that next thing might work out.
The sideline 7. It's the same 7 questions at the end of every episode. Annalise, question 1:
Yeah,
what's your favorite quote?
my favorite quote. Um, well, like I used to always say, if you're not first, you're last. Ricky Bobby, from the Talladega Nights, and which that was one of my favorite sayings to. I say it to Rory before races, and then I go and of course get like disqualified off the start line for being over the start line. He'd be like, "Oh God, at least like you really went for that there, and you came last." Um, yeah, I also used to say, "Let's go smoke some bitches," and so like they're both kind of silly quotes, but like no, there's loads of amazing sports quotes. It's like, but it's just that those like they kind of resonate with me because I guess I've got like that would be my kind of sense of humor is trying, even the really serious moments to try and actually not take things too seriously because it is sport and it's meant to be fun.
Well, I one of my favorite quotes is the line, or it was on a post-it note on Instagram. I think I think did Team Ireland post it recently, and it's like in 2012 versus 2016, I sought the opportunity to win, not seek to lose, or something like that. I've butchered that.
Oh yeah, not to fear the opportunity. Yeah, the quote. Yeah, but it's I've got a bloody spelling mistake in it. I've spelled opportunity like OPPORT. I don't know. It's the spelling is wrong, so I'm like so embarrassed by it. I'm like, there's my like dyslexia coming out there with my bad spelling, and then they've like blown it up as a quote on a wall. I'm like, could you have not at least asked me to rewrite the old thing with like the correct spelling on it? It's like forever in my mind, like my like, and maybe that's also my bad attention to detail, like my laziness of like my brain just like half spells stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm sure that's kind of right, and then someone's like, What's that even spell, Annalise?
I
Yeah.
didn't even notice the misspelling. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, not to fear. Was it not to fear? Um, not to fear losing, but to see the opportunity to fight to win. I think is what it was. But yeah, but I spelled opportunity wrong. So everyone else is like, "That's a great quote." I'm like, "No, it's spelled wrong."
Question two. I'm going to add a two-part to this one actually. Best sporting event you've been to, and then I actually want to get like the best place you've competed. Like you've listed off so many amazing places there. Like in terms of the actual event, but also like the country or the place.
Yeah. Um, like the best sporting event. Like, to be honest, the London Olympics were incredible in terms of the organization and the buzz around them, and like how much effort the Brits put into it. Like they're very good at organizing events. We'll give them that. You know, um, it's like it was so well organized, everything. Um, and I got to go up to London for the last 4 days of the Olympics once I finished competing. And it was pretty cool to feel like you were part of this huge event. Well, in Rio, it was, it was very Brazilian, but it was very disorganized. They'd ran out of money, like things weren't finished. It was like quite a different kind of vibe. Yeah, I think the London Olympics were like, even though I was obviously disappointed, like it was an incredible event and so well run. And then like places I've been, like I've got to go to some cool countries. Um, I love going to Australia because it's just the sailing conditions are great there. Basically, you've got a big hot country, a big hot continent, and then you've got cold water all around it, and that's how you get sea breezes. So basically, hot land, cold water, the wind circulates, and you get good wind. So great for sailing. So yeah, I used to love going to Australia, particularly. We did a good bit in Perth in 2010, 2011, and yeah, I loved it out there. I do like if Australia wasn't so far away, but I'm just too much of a home bird. But I love the outdoor lifestyle, being able to, your 300 days a year where you're able to be out in the sunshine and doing activities outside. And, you know, obviously you don't get the long summer nights, but you also don't get the dark winter nights either.
But you don't have the prep for the Winter Olympics in Australia, so that's out of the question.
Although I think they actually do skiing down
Of
in
course they do.
Melbourne, don't they? Yeah, somewhere up outside Melbourne. Yeah, my cousin was working on a ski resort there for a while. So no, they actually still have they can still I think Tasmania is good for skiing.
Okay.
So they still have better skiing opportunities than we do here in Ireland. Like, unless you're gonna, the one snow day you get, if you're gonna trek up to the top of Capura and try and like snowball your way down.
Yeah. Question three: biggest setback or challenge so far in your career because you're not done yet, and how did you react to it?
Biggest setback. Um, I'd say my biggest setback. You see, it's hard to say. In a way, I say the London Olympics was the biggest setback because it was such a huge disappointment. I was so sad. But then it was also, if I hadn't finished fourth in London, I don't think I would have. Part of me thinks I would have not done what it took to become good enough to win a medal in Rio. Then there's another part of me that thinks maybe if I'd won an Olympic medal in London, I would have just been like, I'm class and had loads of confidence and actually just like gone from strength to strength. So there's two different. But I do think that those like really hard lessons like that I learned in London, like it was just super tough, but the satisfaction of coming back 4 years later and being able to use all those horrible lessons that I'd had to learn and actually put them into use and manage to get a medal out of it was um it's it's still kind of like I still can't quite believe that I managed to do it, that I managed to use such a big disappointment and managed to figure out how to turn it into something good.
Yeah. Is that the answer to the next question of your biggest achievement, the Olympic medal?
Yeah, I'd say definitely it's it's like it is a huge achievement and I'm so proud I did it, but it's just one moment of my life as well. It doesn't defined my whole life, I think. And that's important to remember, is that winning an Olympic medal, it's not going to change your life. It's a really class thing that I got to do. But yeah, there's loads of great moments. It was definitely like that day winning the medal and being there on the beach when I finished racing with my family, and like those moments were just they were class. They're like moments that you'll have in your head for the rest of your life. So I guess it's but you want to relive. You'd like to live like that day like that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I don't mean to rob you of any other answer for that question either. But like, yeah,
No,
if you could bottle
no,
that feeling up now, you'd be a millionaire, I'd say.
it is. I think it's nearly the sense of relief is what makes you feel so good. It's like that relief that you actually managed to do it, because it's not necessarily the joy of doing it. It's the, oh, thank God, like it actually worked out.
Yeah. Have you read The Racket by Conor Nyland?
I have read it actually. Yeah, it's
Yeah, amazing book. He gave a great line around winning. He said it's peace and relief together.
it's it's a fascinating book. Also, so tough. Like he just flogged himself for years and years and years. Like I'm lucky in sailing. Like I definitely didn't flog myself like that.
Looking back, Annalise, question 5, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self?
I'd say my 18-year-old self was actually great. I'd say just try to keep on being like that person. Don't let the pressure and the feeling that people are expecting something of you take over, which it definitely did. I felt as the older I got, the more I felt if I'm not performing, people are going to think I'm stupid doing this. Well, when I was 18, that never even occurred to me that people would think it was stupid what I was doing. So it's just remembering. And I think that's, just remember that, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to do when you're in these pressure situations, but it's, yeah, remembering that you're doing sport because you're lucky enough that you're good at it. You're talented at it. Like the only reason you're doing it is because you've got a talent that you maybe, other people don't have. So like take that and enjoy it. Sport's meant to be fun. Nearly all athletes that are really good, you can see they're having fun when they're competing. Like it just comes easy to them because it's as much fun as it is a job. And when sport becomes too much of a job and there's no joy in it, I think it's very hard to get the best out of yourself.
Brilliant, brilliant line. Question 6, I've written dream dinner guest. I'll change it to dream podcast guest. Keep it on theme.
What would be my dream podcast guest? God, I'm big. Yeah, I don't know.
You set the
Maybe.
bar high. Like you were like it was the creme de la creme on your podcast.
Yeah, it's Roger Federer would be pretty good. Like he just so again, I obviously don't. I'm not on first name terms with Roger, but me and Roger, but for someone that he had so much success, like, but then like he seems like kind of a nice guy, you know. That's the amazing thing. I'm always saying like, a lot of like really amazing sports people, like that are, they not in the multi winners. They're able to they win and they win and they win and they win and they win. Like the reason they're able to do that is because they're just like ruthless. They're just like, I will kill everyone in my path to get here. Well, yeah, Roger Federer, he just seems like I don't know, he just seems like he's kind of a nice guy as well. Like he's just he doesn't quite have that like, I don't know, anger in him that like, someone who's that successful should have.
Yeah, but that's actually I had a guest on a good while ago, Mike Digby, tennis coach, but he's a hitting partner for Wimbledon every year, and he said he went to hit with Roger Federer at the peak of his
Mm.
powers, and he was dying to like ask him all these real tennis questions. I don't know. I'm not into tennis. But anyway, he was dying to ask him all these really cool questions or whatever. And he couldn't get a word in because Roger only wanted to know about him and what he did and all this. Like when they weren't obviously hitting, this was in the breaks or
Yeah.
whatever. And he was like, he was so genuine and lovely. And you're right, because you watched like, I don't know, The Last Dance and you get an insight into Michael Jordan as a person and
Yeah.
like to win 6 championships. You have to be
Yeah.
ruthless, but at the same time, he does seem sound. Now I don't know. Me and Roger aren't on first term name basis either. If you get him, bring me on. And if I get him, I'll bring you on so we can do an interview with them. Out of interest, did you learn anything from the podcast?
We learnt a lot. So first of all, we were very bad at being organized at all. We were literally doing it like week to week. We were like, okay, we have a guest on. Um, okay, great. Okay, we've done that. Oh God, Riverside has deleted everything. Oh God, okay, we're gonna have to. I'll put it in GarageBand and I'll try and get your voice back, Afric, and I'll try and put it that it's in the right place. Oh, like the amount of nightmares we had with all of the, like, we got very good at like having to learn how to edit and do the whole technology piece. Now, we haven't done one, I think, since May. So if we tried to do one now, we'd probably be back at square one. Like, how the hell do you even record these again? But yeah, I think we definitely could have done with being more organized. We were like a bit chaotic. We wouldn't put much preparation. We had like a shared Google Doc where we'd be like, I'd be like, I found out this about this person and put in that. I'd be like, I also know this about them. And I think they like this. Maybe we'll ask them about that. Like it was very like we'd have our guests on and we'd be like, so what have you been up to lately? But yeah, so we probably, if we want to get back into our podcasting, we probably should try and be a bit more professional about it.
I know that was the joy of it as well. You bring the fun into the interviews. That's why I like, I'm not grilling you for. I never call myself traditional media. Like it's not. It's for having the
Yeah.
crack. Like, and that's the best
Mhm.
part. Apart from all the audio editing. Final question, Annalise. If your life was a book, maybe someday it will. What chapter would this be called?
This would be called the. I'm so glad that I got to be an athlete till I was 31. No, it's yeah, it's I I don't I do I enjoy my job and um I really like the people I get to work with every day but it's not the same. Maybe one day, it will become more the same, but it's different. It's not my passion, It's like sailing was easy because it was just my passion. It was what I was doing because, and even when it was hard, it was well, when your job is hard, it's not that easy just to pick yourself up and do it. Well, when I was sailing, it was my job, and even when it was hard, I could still pick myself back up, and I knew it's like, you have this like North Star, you know exactly what your purpose is, you know the reason why you're getting up every day, all of that kind of stuff. So, well, I feel like I'm in this stage of my life where I'm still trying to figure out what am I actually good at outside of being an athlete, because it's really tough. And, you know, how can I, you know, what can I learn? How can I be better? How can I, you know, try my best in work, but also understanding that a job, it isn't like being an athlete. You're not going to be putting your, you know, 1,000,000% effort into it all the time because you can't. You need to live your life outside of it. It's what you do. It's not who you are. Well, I think when you're an athlete, work is who you are. It's everything. So yeah, it's figuring life out. It's fun as well. There's yeah, getting to sort of, I guess, even follow the next generation of athletes now. There's a couple of young lads, Ben and Ethan, at the 49er Worlds, and they had a first and a second in races today. I'm just like, these young lads, like, I was like, they were only about 12 the other week. Like, how are they winning races at World Championships now? So it's exciting, yeah, being still like getting to I feel like I'm still kind of connected to my sport and seeing like this next generation of sailors come through.
Amazing. Well, Annalise, thank you so much for your time. Nearly 2 hours I've taken of your evening. Love
Sorry.
this chat. No, I loved it. Learned a lot from it. And I will link your podcast in the description. Hopefully it returns. Selfishly, I would love to have it back, but you never know. And thanks a million for your time again.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you for having me on.